maybe impoverished doesn't have those things, we deem them worthless or unworthy. And that's created like the distance between people of privilege and people who don't have access to those privileges. And so what I'm advocating is, like if we're really to measure worth, we need to start with the Imago Dei, people being fashioned in the image of God. And because God created a person that may be experiencing poverty, they still have worth and value. And when we start there, it levels the playing field, because we start with the idea that all of God's creation is deemed worthy.
That's right. All of God's creation is deemed worthy.
Yeah.
Where you guys be getting ready to take a quick commercial break, but don't go anywhere. Keep it locked right here. You are listening to The Conversation with Maria Byrd.
Thank you for tuning in to The Conversation with Maria Byrd.
So let's have this conversation
On WIGO 1570 AM radio.
You can connect with Maria Byrd here Fridays on The Conversation at 11 a.m. Go to www.mariabyrd.org. You can sign up for her newsletter. Check out the latest from The Conversation. You can be the next guest, have your song featured, or donate to the cause. Learn about marketing opportunities. Check out the giveaways, special promotions, free tickets, and the latest from Maria Byrd Publications. Again, log on to www.mariabyrd.org. That's www.mariabyrd.org.
WIGO 1570 AM
Do you know
radio.
that all things are working together for your good? Well, God said it and I believe it, so we're just gonna sing about it. For my good, God is working for my good, for my good, God is working for my good. Might be in the valley, I'm going through a storm. It's not over. Victory is sure. Yeah, yeah. Stay in the fight. This battle, it's not yours. Speak of the day. God is on your side. Oh, for my good, for my God is working for my yes. I believe it, I've seen it. God is working for my good. I feel it, it's working out. All things work out for my good. All things are working for my good. God is working for my good. Doesn't matter what it looks like. God says you win. Trust and believe. It's all in His will. Yes, it is. Plans I have in store will never harm you. Yeah, trust in me, 'cause it's already done. Oh, for my God is working. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For my good, for my God is working for my good, for my good. All things work out for my good, yeah, yeah. For my good, God is working for my good. It is well with my soul. All things work out. Weep no more. Worry speak down. Dance with joy. It's for my good. Woo! God is working on my good. 'Cause I love Him. Yes, I do. God is working for my good. I ain't worried about nothing. No, no, no. All things work out for my good. I got a feeling it's working out. Yeah, yeah. It is well with me. I told y'all He's working it out for your good. So quit worrying about what God has already handled. Yeah. All things work out for my good.
Thank you for tuning in to The Conversation with Maria Byrd
So let's have this conversation.
on WIGO 1570 AM radio.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back. You are listening to The Conversation with Maria Byrd. You just heard the hit song, For My Good. I love that song. Well, you guys, we are back with my very special guest, Terence Lester. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, grateful to be here.
Yes, and so before the break, you was just sharing with us about some of the kingdom initiatives that you have been doing, on behalf of your faith-based nonprofit organization, Love Without Walls, and so Love Beyond Walls. Could you just share with us some of the things that you have done? Because I know that you guys have did some radical things, for this cause, such as the marches. Can you just share with us regarding the marches?
Yeah, sure. So we do a lot of demonstrative type campaigns to bring attention to the issue of poverty and homelessness, but we also use that as a platform to educate people and also to create conversations. And we also leverage that to mobilize people to, take steps in helping individuals who are faced and challenged with those plights to move out of those spaces. And so I've done a lot of personal demonstrative type campaigns like I described earlier. I live as a homeless person and some more of those campaigns. But the ones that you're talking about are the marches. And so it started out with MAP 16. Earlier in the year of 2016, I was at the office one day and there was a knock on the window. And this lady, literally, is an elderly lady. I go to the door. It was on a Saturday morning. We didn't have anything going on that day, but I go to the door and I say, hey, can I help you? And she says, yes, I heard it was a nonprofit or organization over here that helps people with food. I haven't eaten in a week. And I go, how did you hear about us? I go through the whole deal, and then I kind of stick my head outside of the door to see if she drove there. And she didn't. I didn't see a car. And I asked her, I said, well, how did you get here? And she says, well, I walked. And I said, okay, well, we're going to give you a ride. We'll grab you some groceries or whatever. And we plugged her address into the GPS from where she came from. She had walked 7 miles. And that just broke my heart, man. Like, I literally was in tears. I told my wife. I told any and everybody that I could. I'm like, yo, like, how is it that we live in one of the wealthiest nations on the face of the earth, and elderly people are living off of less than $100 at the end of the month, and some of them are walking just for food to survive. It broke my heart. And then I started to think about all of the people that walk to our center or walk just to survive, whether they experience homelessness or they don't have any transportation or access to public transportation. I mean, it's just like, it just blows your mind. And so I go, if they are walking, I want to walk a long distance to identify with the people who are suffering in our country, and I want to use it as a way of giving them a voice. And so I had done a walk across the city before, when we had first started. It was like 30-mile walk, and I go to my wife. I say, I think I should walk a long distance. And she says, what do you mean a long distance? I was like, yeah, I think I should walk across the country on behalf of the poor. And she says, what do you mean across the country? And I said, I want to walk from Atlanta all the way to the White House to bring attention to poverty. And so we immediately, she agreed, and she thought it was amazing, and she wanted to join me in support of this walk. so we could bring a voice to those who are impoverished. And so we planned this whole thing out as an organization. It became known as the first long distance walk as MAP 16, the March Against Poverty 2016. We partnered with like the SCLC, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, that was founded by Dr. King. We actually launched from there, and so many other wonderful organizations that supported along the way. And it took me 2 months. It was over 700 miles to walk from Atlanta all the way to DC, where I got a chance to give a speech about the impoverished at the M.L. King Memorial there. And so we turned that into a documentary film. We met a lot of individuals struggling and wrestling with poverty along the way, and that became like the second film that our organization put out, called Voiceless, giving people who don't have a voice by allowing them to tell their raw and honest stories about everything that they're going through and experience. And people can actually watch that on our website. It's free if they go to lovebeyondwalls.org and click Get Educated. And so here recent, I just did another walk earlier this year, actually. This is the 50th year of the commemoration of M.L. King's assassination, and it happened April 4th earlier this year. And so we wanted to partner with, organizations like the Center for Civil and Human Rights and the Lorraine Motel. He was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. And so we did that, and we launched MAP 18 because one of the last stances he was taking was against poverty in our nation, not just for blacks, but for all people, whites, Hispanics, Native Americans, Asians, whatever, man. He was taking a stance against poverty because poverty affects everyone. And so he lost his life, and we wanted to make a statement by walking. Well, I walked from Atlanta, the Center for Civil and Human Rights, downtown Atlanta, all the way to the front of the Lorraine Motel, and it took me a little over a month to complete that journey. And I was walking to bring attention to poverty, but also the racial division that's happening across the country, as a way of saying, hey, we need to come together to unite and take a stance against this ill called poverty that's affecting so many people. And I arrived at the Lorraine Motel on April the 4th, 2018, and I got a chance to say words on the stage there as they had the MLK 50th program there. Yep.
Wow. Now I have a question. And what type of shoes did you wear?
That's yeah. I like New Balances. Yeah, New Balance never reached out or anything, but we had a lot of supporters. The first walk, I went through about 13-14 pairs of shoes, and this walk here recently about 9 pairs of shoes. Yeah. Wow. I mean, this past walk was probably the most difficult campaign that I've done to date, and I've done about eight demonstrative campaigns to bring attention to poverty and people experiencing homelessness. But this one was really difficult. Yep.
Wow, that's amazing. Like, I can only...
To the glory of God. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. I mean, and thank you so much for doing that. And just being obedient to the different things that God has told you to do. Regarding fighting hunger and poverty. Like, it really takes someone that's obedient. To fulfill these things that God is placing in your heart to do. And I just want to give a quick shout out to your wife. I mean, she's holding it down. I mean, every initiative. And they're extreme powerful movements that you have come to her with, and she has been just so
always
right there with you the whole time. So shout out to, what's her name?
Cecilia Lester.
Shout out to Cecilia.
She's the unsung hero, but we see what we do as being in this living on mission together as a family. And I oftentimes tell parents, because we have a lot of parents that ask, how can I get my kids? Can my kids come and volunteer? Or, what do you do? And I say, our kids, they don't have we don't use volunteerism or service as punishment. My kids have been serving and being involved in what we do since birth, and so we've created service as a core value of our family. You know, and because it's a core value, it's like a normal rhythm. It's like going to the grocery store. It's like going to the movies. It's like going to serve. And so we've seen the fruit of what that has done just by us living out a servant's life before our kids, how that has, like, God has used that to, like, shape their hearts. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, my daughter, when she was in 3rd grade, she mobilized all of her class to raise $52 for homelessness. Or my son, that would tell us to stop at a stop sign because he sees a homeless person standing, you know, on a corner, and he wants to speak to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's that type of heart of God that we're trying to instill in our kids. And I tell people, like, if you really want your kids to embrace, you know, the idea of service and serving for God and being on mission, then you got to create the margin in your life, like literally remove things off of your plate that you know that aren't supposed to be there. Create enough margin where you have the capital of time to give yourself to the things of God, and you involve yourself in it, and you make it a lifestyle, not an event.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to ask you, you know, because sometimes when we're out and about, and maybe we're encountering someone that's currently going through that time of transition where they may be experiencing a certain level of poverty or hunger, you know, what would you say is the best way to interact with that individual?
Yeah. Well, firstly, I say always keep things with you. That's just as a, you know, you never know how putting together a hygiene bag or something would help you to engage in a conversation where you can know the individual. Also, I encourage people to know the resources in their community or context. You'll be amazed at the number of people who have no clue who's helping who in the community. But if you made yourself knowledgeable about, oh, there's a shelter here, there's, you know, a mental health facility here, there's a, you know, job employment program here, there are things in the community or even close to the context of the community that you get, you know, you just want to make yourself a resourceful person.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you just want to be resourceful. Like, sometimes it's not always about you solving the problem, but sometimes it, you know, God wants to use you as a signpost.
Wow.
It's like literally to point somebody to the right direction. Because when you're out there, you're living on the streets, sometimes you don't have access to information.
Right. That's
you know,
very true.
You don't have access to information. And what if you telling me there's somebody over here or somebody over there that could help me, how that could change my life? And we've seen it happen before. Yep.
Absolutely. And I could totally attest to that. You know, there's been different times where we may be out and about as a family.
Yeah.
And, you know, a homeless person will come up and they might just want to know, what time is it? What day is it? Or can you just point me in the right direction to go here or
That's
to
good.
go there?
Yeah.
You know, I think it's important to demystify some of the misconceptions, you know, when it comes to, because I think sometimes maybe what immediately may come up is fear.
Yeah.
You know?
That's good. Yeah, I mean, that all this is good. I'm writing on this. I think people's perceptions of
Talk about that.
the poor and the those experiencing homelessness has to be radically changed.
Wow.
You know, because you treat people based upon how you perceive them.
Absolutely.
If you don't see them as somebody being worthy of love, guess what? You're not going to love them. If you don't see somebody as being worthy of receiving grace, the same grace that you ask God for, then guess what? You're not going to extend grace. And so we have to change our perception
That's good.
of how we see people who may have less than us. And one of the ways in which we do that is by understanding our own poverty.
Come on.
The poverty of our own soul, you know.
Wow.
It's like that parable where Jesus is telling about this guy who has a master, and the master forgives him of all his debts. He leaves and then goes to his servant and requires his servant to pay him. And he's talking about this idea of forgiveness. And it's like, how could we want something from God that we don't want to extend to our brothers and sisters or our neighbors.
Wow.
When Jesus talks about loving our neighbors, he's literally telling us to go and love somebody not like us.
Talk about that.
You know what I'm saying? It's so easy for us to love people who look like us, come from the same place we come from, have same interests and things like that. It's hard to love people who are not like you. And, if we were to have this vertical relationship with God, and it be true, then it should compel us to have this horizontal relationship with whoever comes in our path, right? Because how can you say you love a God that you can't see, but can't love the person experiencing homelessness or poverty right in front of you? And so we have to have our lenses cleansed.
That's good.
Yeah, because we need to see parts of ourselves in the people that we're afraid of.
That's really, really good.
Yeah.
Self-reflection. I think that's important, again, when it comes to empathizing with others.
Yeah.
Because, we all have different times where we may be going through in different areas. Maybe be going through different financial hardships or whatever it is,
Yeah.
But like you said, we have to make sure, that we extend that same love that Christ extended to us, that we need to extend it to others, That's
right.
Absolutely.
That's right. Who are we not to?
Wow, that's right. Who are we not to?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And when we really understand that we are part of the family of God, right? And so we understand that we're part of this tapestry, and I'm using these metaphors or whatever, but like think about it like this: if you have a shirt, right, and there's a thread that's hanging, if you pull the thread, sometimes that threatens the whole article of clothing, right? Right?
Absolutely.
But if we have that same view and approach to humanity, God's creation, we'll start to say, if one person who may be a thread in this whole tapestry is suffering, then we're all suffering.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. If one person is suffering, then we're all suffering. And so, again, can you just share with us how people can partner? I think that's critical. I think that's important. How can they partner with Love Beyond Walls?
Yeah. We have, we use technology a lot. And so people are able to go to our website, lovebeyondwalls.org. They can volunteer with us. We are always having opportunities every single week, not just just the high times of the year, but we're in the community every single week, building relationships, loving on people. Over the past almost 4.5 years, we've gotten over 270 people off of the streets, out of homelessness.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, praise God. We've led over 300 people to Jesus. You never know how you could lead somebody to faith if you're cutting their hair and creating a community and conversation. You never know how a mother may be strengthened in prayer who's just walked 6 miles for diapers. You just never know. And so we create opportunities for people to come and engage with us and love on the community. And they can go to our site, lovebeyondwalls.org, click volunteer, and get involved. And if they want to partner, you can also reach out through our site. We always love to collaborate with people who are like-minded, who have the same heart, but most importantly wants to have that heart of generosity and servanthood. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
One of our core values is sacrifice, and we really believe in that because that's the way Christ lived. He gave it all up so that we could have room and space and be able to dwell in fellowship with God. And so that's what we're doing with how we display our ministry. We're sacrificial, and we're giving it all up so that people can have their dignity affirmed.
Wow. And tell us, how can we connect with you?
Social media, or they can follow our organization at Love Beyond Walls. That's Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And they can also follow me. I'm Terence Lester. That's Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. That's IMTERENCELESTER. Yep.
Awesome. Wow. This has been absolutely amazing. I want to take this time to thank my very special guest, Mr. Terence Lester, for coming in. I don't take it for granted. I really appreciate you and your family's stance, as it pertains to, combating hunger and poverty in our society. I want to thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes.
Honored. Yeah, very honored.
Absolutely. And then for the last 2 minutes,
Yep.
can you just take some time just to encourage someone that may be listening?
Yeah. I would just say, wherever you are, you have to know that it's not over for you. That God is with you in it. We've seen a lot of people in the celebrity culture just literally tap out here recently. And you have to know that you have worth and value and a purpose, and that God can still get the glory out of whatever you may be faced with. You also have to know that you have something to offer this world. Because many times when you find yourself in places where it seems difficult, you can almost look at yourself and say, I have nothing to offer. And that's a lie from the enemy. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, and God has created you to be something special to give this world. He wants to live through you, in you, and do amazing things for you. And so I would encourage you to keep going. Don't give up. Don't turn back. Don't look aside. Make your God bigger than your situation.
Wow, I love that. Make your God bigger than your situation.
Yep.
Wow, you guys, this has been absolutely amazing. Again, I want to thank my very special guest, Mr. Terence Lester. I just appreciate, again, just your stance and the great things that you are doing in the earth and in the kingdom. So thank you again for coming on. Will you come back?
Yeah, anytime. Yeah.
Yes. Wow, you guys. Well, I thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you connect with me on social media, you guys. Check out my website at www.mariabyrd.org. This has been so epic, you guys. Next week, we have something absolutely amazing prepared for you. So make sure that you tune in. So you guys remember, that's next week, same time, same place, right here on The Conversation with Maria Byrd.
Touchdown. Finally found me someone I can really trust now. I always had so much to say, but no one is saying to.
Thank you for tuning in to The Conversation with Maria Byrd every Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on WIGO 1570 AM radio.
So let's have this conversation like a radio station.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I want to thank my very special guest, Mr. Terence Lester, for coming. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Yes, and you guys make sure you tune in next week to The Conversation with Maria Byrd.